For most Canadians, we look at pro wrestling as our second major religion behind hockey. And there's many wrestlers that have touched the hearts and the minds of the great wrestling fans from Victoria all the way to St. John's and as far north as the Northwest Territories, Yukon, and Nunavut. When I was a young kid, I saw this guy's uncle take on classy Freddie Blassie. I think it was a Montreal International vintage wrestling match. And I said to myself, if the Sheik ever had a successor, he was going to make $1 million. And I think this guy has been so successful, money doesn't even cover it. Now, I've been a Facebook follower of Sabu for a number of years. Terry Brunk, of course. He's gone through a lot in recent years, losing his great life partner, Melissa Coates, a fellow Canadian. So today we're going to be talking about not an in-depth of Sabu's career, but like a starter for those who don't know. I consider him a top 10 wrestler of all time. The only negative is he's not Canadian. He's from Staten Island. But he was Canadian. He would be up there with Bret Hart in popularity because what he did for ECW, the NWA, all the related feds he is, and when he does the finger point to the sky thing, boys, it gives you chills. Now, Sabu, born Terrence Michael Terry Brunk on December 12, 1964, he's nearing his 60th birthday, that's why we're doing the podcast, is an American semi-retired pro wrestler, better known again as Sabu. He's known for his trademark style of hardcore wrestling, which he pioneered in his time with ECW from 95 to 2000. Now, Rob Van Dam, all the great stars, Shane Douglas, Tommy Dreamer, he is the icon, one of the pillars or the building blocks of what's considered the modern hardcore wrestling that we enjoy in 2024. Not what he call shock hardcore, but in Sabu's case, he uses a chair as a motivator towards his opponent and not even try to beat him. A three-time World Heavyweight Champion, having held the ECW World Title twice and the NWA World Heavyweight Championship one time. Under tutelage of his uncle Ed the Sheik Farhat, Brunk began his career wrestling in the North American independent scene in 1985 under the name of Sabu, before traveling Japan, competing in the ever-dangerous Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling, FMW, and New Japan, winning several titles, including the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. Of course, the famous fire match when him and his uncle were almost literally burned to death and killed in a key match in FMW. He returned to the States in 1995, briefly working for WCW, before beginning his now well-known stint in ECW, where he quickly became a fixture of the promotion. Of course, the infamous incident where he almost lost his bicep in a severe match, and he taped his bicep back in. Now, during his time in ECW under Paul Heyman, he became a two-time ECW World Heavyweight Champion and a one-time ECW World TV Champion. Only Rob Van Dam was close to him for popularity, and maybe Raven for dispopularity. He would have both a feud and alliance with the Tasmaniac, defeating him for the ECW Fuck the World Championship and winning the ECW World Tag Team Championship with him. In 1997, Sabu began a tag team with Rob Van Dam, winning the ECW Tag Team title twice. Now, after leaving ECW, Sabu wrestled in several national promotions, winning the NWA World Heavyweight title in 2000. In 2006, he was hired by WWE as part of their new third brand. A rebooted version of ECW was a disaster from the start. Sabu would wrestle for WWE until he was fired in 2007 under, nefarious circumstances. He also became a regular wrestler in Total Nonstop Action since the creation of the promotion in 2002. Now, built from Bombay, Michigan, Mumbai, India, and Saudi Arabia, 6 feet 235. Now, get the names. The Great Sabu, Sabu the Elephant Boy, Samu, Terry SR, Terry Snuka, Terry Brunk, and Sabu of the Jungle. Now, trained by the Sheik and officially, not say fully retired in November of 2021, but he's in semi-retirement. You never know he's going to come back for an appearance or a match. Now, Brunk was trained by the Sheik and was initially trained to be, get this, a technical wrestler. He began his wrestling career in 1985 in Farhat's promotion, the legendary Big Time Wrestling, and it was billed as being from Saudi Arabia under a ring name Sabu the Elephant Boy. Use of the Elephant Boy was later dropped, and Terry SR, the SR standing for Sheik's Revenge. During the 1980s, Brunk wrestled for various independent promotions in Memphis, Michigan, Ohio, Canada, and Hawaii. He was rarely billed under his real name in order to avoid confusion with the similar name Terry Funk, but has wrestled under his real name in Hawaii. Now, the idea about Terry Funk is kind of ironic. He kind of was old school hardcore and Blassie and his uncle. And it's funny to be confused because it's hard to explain Sabu's hardcore horror style. It's a Sabu style. Only Sabu can do Sabu. And now, first with USWA in 1991, he made a few appearances as Sabu, feuding with Jeff Jarrett and Robert Fuller. Now, he made 3 appearances with WWF in 93, defeating Scott Taylor, losing to Owen Hart in a dark match, and defeating Scott Taylor again. Now, he was in Frontier Martial Arts. Now, this is where his legendary reputation really started. He made his first tour of Japan with Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling. Of course, Dark Side of the Ring talks about it. While wrestling for FMW, Sabu received many of the scars on his arms and torso, for which he became famous. He cleared rumors that the scars were self-induced in a shoot interview with RF Video, confirming they were a result of numerous hardcore matches he was involved in, including participating in over 2 dozen no-rope barbed wire death matches. Now, in May 92, in one of the most infamous incidents in wrestling history, he teamed with his uncle in a Ring of Fire death match against Shuichi Onita and Tarazone Goto. Basically, what it was a ring saturated with flammable, it looked like tampons almost, and it was set on fire. The match was set in the ring where the ropes were replaced with barbed wire with sheets soaked in gas wrapped around it. But, and Sabu said the dark side of the ring, it went quick, and as the match started, the ring crew lit the sheets on fire using torches. They were in the ring for about a minute before all the men got out of the ring due to the intense heat. And of course, his uncle, he mentioned he threw water in his uncle's back, and his skin came right off. The match ended with no winner. Sabu said in an interview that the ring burned for 19 hours. Now, Sabu often competed in Japanese hardcore matches, where he teamed, get this, with the Sheik, Canada's Tiger G. Singh, and Horace Boulder. Sabu feuded with the likes of Goto and Onita in FMW. His final match in FMW was a loss to debuting Hayabusa at the 1994 Summer Spectacular. Now, when he debuted in ECW in October 93 as a villain, he defeated a Tasmaniac. Now, Sabu, his most notable aspect of his early career, his refusal to speak, a gimmick that he inherited from the Sheik, who never spoke English in public to protect kayfabe. In his early career, Sabu was well billed for being Saudi Arabia or Bombay, India. In real life, he was a second-generation Lebanese-American from a suburb of Detroit. In ECW, however, he was clearly heard speaking in ring on several occasions, and it was fairly common knowledge that Brunk was an American citizen from birth. That led to a joke at kayfabe's expense when Sabu began to be billed as hailing from Bombay, Michigan. Now, the Brunk had revealed in a shoot promo in the documentary film Forever Hardcore, if you can find it, it's quite interesting, that in fact it was not Paul Heyman that brought him to ECW, but he was at the right place at the right time. He was referred by a friend to Todd Gordon, who was big in ECW. According to storyline, Sabu was off-time arrived to the ring by his handler 911, was an uncontrollable madman stripped to a gurney and with a Hannibal Lecter-style face mask while trying to break free. And he would break from his bonds. Now, he rose to main event status upon his debut very quickly, and his second match for the promotion, he knocked off Shane Douglas for the ECW title. He made his first successful defense against Tasmaniac, which aired on the November 30th episode of Hardcore TV. Now, the Sabu had pinned Terry Funk in a match between Funk and King Kong Bundy to win the TV championship after Bundy turned on Funk. As a result, at the time, Sabu became a double champion. Now, the rivalry between Sabu and Funk intensified as Sabu lost the title to Funk at Holiday Hell. Now, he had teamed with the Tasmaniac for most of 94 and 95, but unfortunately, in late 1995, he said he decided to go back to Japan And when he was scheduled to compete in the main event of a three-way dance for the World Tag Team Title Championship, Sabu no-showed the event to accept the booking in Japan, to lead Paul Heyman to publicly and legitimately fire Sabu at the event. Now, when he went back to Japan, it was New Japan, making a total of between 64 and 66 appearances. He made his debut on January 4th at the Tokyo Dome, teaming with Masachono to defeat Yunji Harata and Tatsumi Fujiyami. Sabu and Chono teamed together on several more occasions to face Hisai Ishigan. Now, very, very important years as well. Sabu did defeat the Grand Hamada to win the UWA World Junior Light Heavyweight Championship in late 95, and he held the championship for about a week. Now, he made his final appearance with NJPW in Osaka late in 95, teaming with Hiro Saito to defeat Dean Malenko and Wild Pegasus. Now, he joined WCW on September 11, 95 against Alex Wright. Sabu watched the match, but the decision reversed when after the match he put Wright through a table. Sabu continued to wrestle some of the cruiserweights at WCW in the early days of the division, including a match against Mr. JL at Hollywood Havoc. Sabu came out victorious against Mr. JL, and following the match, Sabu's Uncle Sheik shot JL in the face with a fireball. His last match in WCW was against Disco Inferno, which Sabu won. So Sabu was building a reputation throughout North America, and there was tape trading, VHS. Everybody was talking about this guy, and like I said, using the chair and his unique stylings in the ring, everybody wanted to see him. Even though they'd never heard of Sabu even a year before, it was starting to build. It was like a word of mouth. Now, in Big Japan and All Japan Pro Wrestling in 96, 97, he had a team with Gary Albright for a while. Now, Sabu in summer of 96 had planned of signing with WWF. He was original choice for the Sultan gimmick, but rejected the offer when he was going to be managed by the Iron Sheik instead of his uncle, the original Sheik. And the gimmick was given to Fatu. Now, back to the ECW. From 95 to 2000, a whole bunch of stuff was going on. But his success at Too Cold Scorpio mostly ended with draws. Now, he had a lengthy feud with Rob Van Dam. And unfortunately, a respect match because of RVD disrespecting him during a match took place between the two in a matter of respect. Sabu lost the match and was thus forced to shake hands with RVD, but RVD refused by saying, "Not only do I not respect you, you're a piece of shit." The rivalry between Sabu and RVD continued as Sabu defeated the latter in a standard match in Hardcore Heaven, a stretcher match at a Doctor's Inn, and a grudge match at Unlucky Lottery, after which Sabu finally earned RVD's respect. Now, Sabu and RVD subsequently began teaming with each other and their rivalry, probably one of the most important tag teams in ECW history. They began pursuing the World Tag Team title, facing Eliminators in November to Remember, and the match unfortunately ended in a time limit draw. Now, the various feuds had occurred, and eventually, like I said, it ended up being a match against Terry Funk for the ECW World Heavyweight title. Born to be Wired, the match was promoted as being too extreme, even for ECW. In one of the most memorable moments in ECW history, he attempted the air Sabu corner splash on Funk. Terry moved and Sabu ended up colliding violently in the wire, which tore up his biceps. He then asked his manager, Bill Alfonso, for some tape, and after Alfonso went to get some, Sabu began to tape the approximately 10-inch gash up. Funk has stated that to this day, he's never seen anything like what Sabu did that night. The match ended with both men so badly tangled up together in the barbed wire, it took several ring technicians armed with wire cutters to free them from predicament. Now, Heyman said the match was so gruesome, I never even dared to schedule another one like it. Now, that was Sabu's style. He wasn't scared to push himself for his fellow wrestlers. Now, he teamed with Rob Van Dam mostly from 97 to 2000, and they had feuded again with the ECW loyalists, Dreamer and Sadman during this period, and were joined by Jerry Lawler from WWF. Now, various events occurred, and by the 2000s, he decided to leave ECW after a whole bunch of feuds and wrestling. Now, when he went on the independent circuit, he was everywhere. Extreme Pro Wrestling, IWA Mid-South, Stampede, of course, in Canada, Border City Wrestling, and others. He also won the vacated XPW World Heavyweight title, defeating John Kronos on April 29, 2000. And Damien Steele in the second round and Messiah in the finals. He was the only champion to defend the title outside the States. He would hold the title for a year and was taken away in May 2001 when Sabu was not present for the event. He went back to All Japan in 2000 as a singles, and 2001 he had a big match against Giant Kamal and Abdullah the Butcher. Now, he went back to Frontier Martial Arts for a short while as well, and then World Wrestling All-Stars in 02 and 03. Now, total non-stop action, 2002 to 2006. Now, allegedly, according to doctors, either he broke his back or came pretty close to doing it. And a match on August 4th. And Sabu's injuries were so severe that he had to have a benefit show for him as well. Now, he recovered and eventually returned to TNA 2005 to 2006. Back to WWE for a little while. Unfortunately, a drug bust ended up for him being fired. Now, on the independent circuit again, 07 to 10, including AAA in Mexico, the Australian Asian Wrestling Federation as well, and CWA in Colombia, now South Carolina. Now Tour of the United Kingdom as well, and also Latin American Wrestling's International Championship for as well. Juggalo 2007 to 2011, back to TNA in 2010, returned the independent circuit from 12 to 21. Now, on November 5th, 2021, after literally decades as, again, putting his body through torture, he officially announced his retirement from pro wrestling. Now, his big return last year was on May 21st to 2023 in one of the greatest moments in AEW history. He made his debut for them on Dynamite, when he was revealed that he would come out of retirement for a one-off in the corner of Adam Cole along with Roderick Strong during his unsanctioned match with Chris Jericho at the Double or Nothing pay-per-view. Now, the Sabu's personal life is quite interesting. Brunk's father is of Irish and German descent, and his mother is Lebanese. He was married to a Japanese woman named Hitomi in 97 in Michigan, and had a separate Japanese ceremony a year later. Now, Brunk reveals that he took his name Sabu from Indian-American actor Sabu, of which his uncle Ed Ferrat was a fan. Now, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, the big tragedy of his life, and like I said, Sabu began dating fitness model Melissa Coates, who eventually became his sidekick as Super Genie, who also began again to work as a wrestling valet. After an amputation due to complications, Coates unfortunately died in her sleep from COVID on June 23rd, 21 at age 52. Now, when you think of Sabu, he's much more than a suicidal, homicidal, genocidal, death-defying maniac. He is an intelligent and personable person outside the ring. He is kind to a fault. He loves animals. I know pets and cats, especially, and dogs, are close to his heart. He's done different activities to support his animal causes. Now, he's like a high flyer, like a luchador, but the hardcore wrestling is there, especially when he has that trusty charity side. But the blackout that he's also known for, when the lights would go out in ECW and the other federations, even now when the lights go out in wrestling, we think Sabu's going to show up. And Sabu pointing to the heavens. I basically think that he's drawing upon the gods to give him the energy to perform for all of us. Now, again, some of these moves includes using a steel chair, like the Air Sabu, which is a heel kick to a cornered opponent, who assisted as a steel chair. He'll throw the chair in and kick it. Now, the Arabian Facebuster, jumping, diving, or somersault leg drop, driving a steel chair into the face of the opponent, or the Arabian Skull Crusher, jumping, diving, or somersault leg drop, driving a steel chair in the back of the opponent's head, usually through a table. And the idea, he uses his poundage to the best of his advantage. He's almost like when Evander Holyfield was a young light heavyweight, using his weight and his dexterity to his advantage. Now, being trained by the Sheik, Of course, he also uses the classic Arabian clutch, which is a camel clutch as a move. His character, again, has rarely spoken. However, while working for WWE, he had to do the most talking he ever did. Now, Sabu's revolutionary style, if you're a person under the age of 30, maybe you've never seen Sabu. But the ECW tapes, the ECW on TNN, amazing that, Sabu, it wasn't an overnight sensation, okay? He basically, the word about is like he's a little bit like Jericho, he's a little bit like Owen Hart, he's a little bit like Terry Funk. He has an aspect of all the big wrestlers from the 90s. So in the 1990s, I think he's prime. He is a top 5 wrestler of the 90s because he went everywhere, he fought everybody's every feud, and he was fearless. But listen to the... now, he does have a hardcore Hall of Fame banner in the former ECW arena. How many wrestlers can say that they have a banner off the rafters like the Montreal Canadiens? So get this, all these titles, we're going to go over this very quickly. Billtown Championship Wrestling, heavyweight title once. Border City, he was a Can-Am heavyweight champion. In ECW, he was a world heavyweight title winner twice. The world heavyweight title one time, which is AEW now. ECW World TV Champion. And ECW World Tag Team Champion with Taz and Rob Van Dam. Rob Van Dam twice. He's the second ECW Triple Crown Champion. EWA, European Wrestling Association Junior Heavyweight title winner. Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling. He was Martial Arts Tag Team title winner with Horace Boulder. Hardcore Hall of Fame. International Wrestling Cartel Tag Team title winner once. Insane Wrestling Federation Heavyweight title champion twice. Juggalo, one-time heavyweight champion. Main Event Wrestling, APW Hardcore title. NWA Florida World Heavyweight title once. NWA Independent World title once. National Wrestling Conference Heavyweight title twice. New Japan Junior Heavyweight Champion and Junior Light Heavyweight Champion. Pro Wrestling All-Stars of Detroit Cruiser Core title. Pro Wrestling Holland Championship. The PWI, the highest ranking, number 5 in 1995. Pro Championship Wrestling, TV title. Pro Pain Pro Wrestling, World Heavyweight title. Stampede Wrestling, he won the Pacific Heavyweight title once. TNA Action Wrestling, year-end award once for Match of the Year. UPW Pro Wrestling, USA title winner. USA Pro Wrestling, Pro Heavyweight title winner. UPW Pro Wrestling. Wawan Wrestling Championship, Hardcore title. Wrestling Alliance Revolution, World Extreme. World Wrestling Council, Hardcore title once. Universal Heavyweight title once. Bruiser Brody Memorial Cup winner. World Wrestling League, Extreme title winner once. Wrestling Observer Newsletter, Favorite Wrestler 94. Extreme Intense Championship Wrestling. XICW Extreme. Extreme Latin American Wrestling. International Championship once. And, of course, Extreme Pro Wrestling, World Heavyweight Champion. Now, the first reign for ECW, when the promotion was an NWA affiliate, named Eastern Championship Wrestling, and it was prior to the promotion becoming ECW Wrestling Extreme Championship, and the title being declared a world title by ECW. Sabu held the title again after these events. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the aspect of Sabu, the FTW title, I mean, we have the Tasmaniac has been an announcer for AEW, but Sabu, again, you got to look at this. In Canada, he is over like Christmas dinner. Any pro wrestling fan, when you talk about Sabu, two things are going to happen. They're going to point to the heavens, and they're basically saying that's the toughest motherfucker I've ever seen. And what when he speaks, when he does these shoot interviews, it's fascinating because you see actors inside the actor studio, all these shows that were done on Bravo or whatever. When Sabu gives a shoot talk about a wrestling, it's enthralling, because the movie The Wrestler, okay, with the Mickey Rourke, Ram Robinson, right? Sure, it's not Sabu, but there's aspects of Sabu in that match, because Sabu has put his body on the line. And, at age 59, we've lost a lot of the icons of wrestling in recent years due to the age or whatever, Terry Funk and everybody else. But will Sabu be the last link to the hardcore wrestling of the 70s, the 80s, and 90s? Like the current days, some of the hardcore wrestling is just, Wow. It's like, but Sabu had a style. It's hard to explain. Like, you look at Picasso and Dali and the great artists. You look at Paul Simon. You look at songwriters, Joni Mitchell, Murray McLaughlin, Gordon Lightfoot, the Canadian songwriter, Shania Twain. When Sabu takes the ring, the canvas is literally his canvas. And every match I've seen with Sabu, he's doing something a little bit different. And like I said, Rob Van Dam, yes, very good technical, a little bit better than Sabu, but Sabu, there's a reality there. See, every time he wrestles, we think of the original Sheik, because he was big in Canada, because for obvious reasons, Detroit, so close to Canada. But we were kids, ladies and gentlemen, like I said. We didn't know what hardcore or core wrestling was. We saw when people would bleed. But the first match I saw with Sabu, I said, Jesus Christ, this guy is fearless. And I know one thing, ladies and gentlemen. Pro wrestling in 2024 owes a lot to Sabu. Because you look at these strong matches that WWE attempts, you can only do 1/10 of what Sabu could do in the ring. He's much more than just retaping up his bicep. He's an inspiration to a lot of people. And I'm glad to say I've had contact with Sabu on, Facebook. We're not like personal friends or whatever. But what an extreme pleasure to talk to somebody that's a living legend. I know, that's used many times. But Sabu could go in any bar in Canada and he would be recognized and everybody would want to go over and say thank you. It's a weird thing, And the idea, again, every time there's a blackout, the lights go off because of power outages in New Brunswick, where I'm from. It's like we take a Sabu because when the lights went off, Sabu would arrive and the fans would pop like that. But like I said, you look at the legends of ECW, and he didn't need ECW. ECW needed him. That's what a lot of people need. He never begged to be part of federations. He just did his job. He wanted to spread his talent to everybody. All I can say is thank you, Sabu. And if you never heard of Sabu before this podcast, check some of the videos on YouTube, the ECW archives. Will there be a full documentary on Sabu down the road? Maybe. But the Dark Side of the Ring talks a little bit how he was brought into Japan. They didn't even ask the Sheik who was bringing in. I think that's my correct interpretation. And when he arrived, like I said, if you can make it in Japan as a wrestler, and that's what Jericho and Owen Hart and everybody did, if you can make it in Japan. Because a lot of people considered him a junior heavyweight because he wasn't 240, 250 pounds. Like I said, I would suspect, ladies and gentlemen, there's more going to be happening in Sabu's career down the road. Maybe he might decide to get into managing, but you have to see. I can say this severely. I know it's been hard on him since Melissa passed away. It's been hard on Melissa's extended family, and like I said, he's never been anything but honest with that. He's posted many things, said she was such a big influence on his life, and the fact is she fought hard against what happened to her, and unfortunately she couldn't survive. But like I said, Sabu's a survivor. If anybody can get through anything, it's him. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, a pleasure to do this podcast. I'm going to be sending a copy to Sabu, and he knows how good he is. He doesn't brag himself up. But I tell you something, I'm going to brag him up. Again, it's my honor as a journalist covering wrestling for 41 years to be able to cover Sabu. He's up there in hockey like Gretzky, Beliveau, Guy Lafleur, whatever, baseball, Aaron Judge or whatever, because the word Sabu is wrestling. And it's amazing. Imagine if the world of wrestling didn't have a Sabu. We latched on to him as like, the chants of ECW. Every time ECW chant, they're chanting for Sabu, really. And the other stars, of course, but Sabu was the number one. He's the most loved wrestler, I think, of the ECW alumni, in my personal opinion. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's my short version of Sabu. Thanks for the archives of Wikipedia and other pages that talk about it, because wrestling belts can never be taken away. But when he won the NWA title, that was a big, good news week. And the ECW, the top 10 of the ECW, it just happened to the fact, ladies and gentlemen, like any fire, it's like a firecracker is going to burn itself out. But ECW changed wrestling, and he was a big part of that. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. If you like what we're doing with a wrestling podcast, give us a like, comment, subscribe, or share.